lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME Scoops.com. Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, we're back and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. I see the Bills are in, Paul's in, Aqualand Relic's in the house as well. Chuck, the man with the plan, the dealer of choice on deck. Mark, River Sticks, the Bills. Looks like everybody's coming through. Good to see, definitely good to see. And for those that were wondering, I did see in the chat, Chuck has posted he is back from his trip. Everybody's having a grand old time, and we're in with Lou tonight. Lou, why don't you go ahead and take the floor for me for a minute there, and let everybody know what's been going on with you and who you are, how long you've been in the hobby.
All right, my name is Lou, Lucky Lou. Yeah, so I've been detecting for 8 years now, and I don't talk funny. The rest of you talk funny. And the last couple of years, almost to the day, is when I really, really got addicted to, or extremely passionate about digging. And I was just telling Josh, my first permission of when I moved to a new town, my first hole from my first permission was a 1853 seated quarter, and I was all done after that. I try to get out as much as I can, typically 5 days a week, I guess. Most of the time it's only for a half hour here and there, but every little bit counts, and the more you can swing, the more you can find, and it's rocking and rolling. And we're going to talk about some door knocking and getting permissions tonight for all the people out there that are either shy, don't have the confidence, don't know what to do, don't know how to go about door knocking, if they should or shouldn't bring people when they go to do it, how to read people. I had a couple people, I actually had 4 different people message me or post a message yesterday after Steph Diggs and Dig Dug. You know, we all posted our finds on Facebook, and I had multiple people saying, I want to come with you. I want to come with you. I want to come with you. And so I started listing off, you know, because you can't bring everybody everywhere. You know, it's just not a possibility. And a lot of times my weekend digging, I'm booked because I typically dig on Saturdays. I'm usually booked out 6-7 weeks with people that I've, you know, made plans with and such and stuff like that. And so I started. One person said, I don't know how to door knock, and I'm too shy to do it. I started listing things that to try to help them, you know, build up the confidence to go do it. And, you know, one of the first things you want to do is whatever town you live in. Like I joined my local historical society within a month of moving here. You know, a lot of the people in historical societies will be older people. I think I'm 43. I'm probably the youngest in the group. And so, you know, and you can go to this historical society meetings and chat with them and stuff. And you could get permissions that way. That's one lead. And, you know, just by chatting with people in your town, that might open up opportunities. I go to all my local events as well, which have led to opportunities for detecting. I chat with people about detecting all the time. And so that's another possibility as far as, you know, just leads, just throwing it out there, you know, sticking the detecting bug out in the wind, and, you know, you might get a hit here or there. And I mean, you could get one permission, and if it's something that only you can detect on, that could last you for weeks, months, you know, the entire, you know, fall season. I mean, it only takes one good permission to be all set for yourself. If you want to dig with other people, I typically, now that I do dig with a lot of people, you know, usually, well, not a lot, but I mean, usually only like 1 or 2 people at a time at a site. But, you know, you can rotate the people who you have at that site. When you first start talking to that landowner, mention how much fun you have when you're digging with other people. And when you do that and say that you typically dig with 1 or 2 other people, they know that that's going to be a possibility, and or they're with you already when you're door knocking.
You know, that's a great way to work that in, too, that you may be bringing other people onto the permission with you. Because, I mean, let's face it, some property owners, and I know we've talked about that, it kind of touched on it before in the past, some property owners may be very receptive to you being on the property, but once you start mentioning other people, then they're like, oh, well, they start backpedaling. You know, wait a minute here, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, and that's sort of the boat I'm in with some of the permissions that I have within my town. And I mean, I have a lot of permissions within town, but a lot of them were when I originally moved here that fall. I was going around and just door knocking and stuff, and I was just digging by myself at the time. And so, you know, some of them I've gone back to and talked to the owners, and they're like, yeah, bring other people. Some of them are like, no, we only want you here. And so it's different. I would never show up to a place with, you know, 7, 8 people or even 5 people. You know, a couple other people with you is not bad. People aren't going to frown on that or anything like that. You know, if you land like where I did my birthday dig, I went there. I was literally walking one of the fields looking for arrowheads. The only time I was there for like an hour, and then a thunderstorm rolled in. But I went back to the property owner, mentioned that my birthday was coming up. I'd love to come out and detect there with, 7 or 8 other people. And he was very, happy to allow that and everything like that. And so, it was great. It was a great, way to I was there by myself when I was talking to him about doing that.
Right.
And
so the way it sounds, I mean, you're definitely not opposed to pulling out all the stops when you're trying to get permissions.
No, and a lot of it is when you first start talking to somebody, that first few minutes of when you're talking to them and you crack a joke, or you sort of have to be able to read people in that aspect, and that's just something you do over a long period of time. I used to sell cards and comics to complete strangers when I was 13 years old at a flea market. I worked for a guy, and so I get good, bad vibes from people, can tell if they're, going to be grumpy or happy or have a sense of humor, stuff like that. And so, typically when you walk up to a door and you knock and you start talking to them, you can tell. I mean, if you're by yourself, you can tell more or less if they're going to be more apt to let other people come on or not. And then, when you show them your finds at the end of the day, if they're like, yeah, cool, and then if you want anything, nope, you keep all your trash, and so there's so many variables as far as everything goes. But the first thing that anybody should do is, do research. I didn't do any research for the first 6 years. I did all public land, and talking more and more to experienced detectorists and stuff like that. All these wood cellar holes and such, so many of them have been smashed in public land. Everybody goes to all that with anytime they want because they can. Private land, however, is completely different as far as you have new homeowners all the time at different private lands. And maybe 15 years ago, the person owning the land said no to somebody who knew about it. And now, 15 years later, it's in new owners' land and new owners' hands. And they might be like, yeah, sure. And so that's one way that you could actually find virgin ground that has never been hit because the previous owner had said no to somebody else previously, and now a new owner has it. But doing research in and around your town and knowing, I live in New England, and so, Massachusetts. And so, more or less all of New England is just old. And so it's an easy way to find, it's fairly easy to find historical relevance within your town, or when it, even just knowing when your town was established, when it was incorporated. I look up every house that I scope out or look up info online. I know what year it was built. I know the homeowners' names. I use Axis GIS for Massachusetts, which is free. It gives you all the property lines, gives you the year it was built, the homeowners' names, the acreage, everything. And I think state to state, they actually have different GIS apps for each state. Some towns don't use that. They use some other funky, sites, mapping sites and stuff. And sometimes certain towns are a pain in the butt to find out the info. But a lot of them, in Mass at least, the Axis GIS is really a nice database to use, and it's really easy, quick to look up the info. But then if you find older sites, you can also, do different searches, go to that local library, go to that local historical society, find out information, if it's actually some sort of historical site, to find out more info before you even go knock on a door. And you can do a lot of this over the winter months around here when you can't dig, to set yourself up for the spring, summer, and fall. And because let's face it, metal detecting is a time-consuming hobby. and you score a permission that's producing stuff that's 20 acres, you're going to be there for a while. There's just so you get 3 or 4 sites that are producing that are, say 10 to 20 acres each, or 5 to 20 acres. You and a couple buddies could go there all year and have a blast. And so,
well, and many times if you get in good with that landowner, like, for example, I've got a property here in my area. It's 40 acres that dates back to the 1800s, but we've pulled items off of it that date back to the late 1700s. And I've got exclusive permission. I can hunt that property for the rest of my life.
Yep.
You get in good with that landowner, it could be an ongoing, exclusive permission of longevity, basically, where you're there as long as the homeowner's fine with it, and they may live out the rest of their days there.
Well, and that's the thing is every single time I'm adding new permission before I leave that first day, I make sure if I see him halfway through the day when I'm digging, I walk over, I start showing him stuff, chat with him. I was doing this yesterday. I mean, I chatted with the guy probably 4 different times, showed him some stuff that we found, and when we left, I made sure, we stopped and just said thank you, and always say thank you, show them the stuff. I mean, they might want something, they might not, but that's part of the game.
A little common courtesy goes a long ways, and it never hurts to keep those wheels greased by, it may just be something silly like a piece of a weather vane or a watch fob that maybe their grandfather had or something like that, where
Dig
you're
Dug
okay
has
handing that over, I'm sure.
I dug an orthopedic horseshoe yesterday, one of the solid ring horseshoes, and I threw it in the back of Doug's truck because it was just too heavy in my pouch, after I had way too much stuff. And I meant to give it to him because he's got a big old barn that, I'm sure just throwing it up on the barn would have looked cool, but, I'll make sure Doug next time we go back there. But every time I leave, you say thank you. You show them your stuff, whatever, and always say, I don't ask to come back. I always say, I would love to come back and do some more detecting here. It was so much fun, and that's sort of a trickery way, I guess, and asking but not asking, because you're making a statement, not really asking a question. Right. And so it's sort of play with words as opposed to saying, would you mind if I came back? It's for the first thing you say is, I'd love to come back. I had so much fun. This was great. We found tons of different cool relics, blah, blah, blah. And then, you see what they say. Right. And then if they're like, oh yeah, feel free to come back. If they say something different, then you say, well, would you mind if I came back? And so it's a lot of what will the homeowner respond to what you're saying, as to how you should respond to that.
Right. And unfortunately, it is kind of a case-by-case basis, let's say, because along the way, if you don't have the acquired people skills before that, once you get a few permissions in, you start to pick up on how to read people, whether they're going to be receptive to giving you permission or even allowing you to come back.
Well, and Rob out in Western Mass, he just messaged me and said, I used some of your door knocking skills, and I got a permission at a big old farm, just a couple of days ago and stuff. And I was like, that's awesome, man. I know Laura. I was trying to encourage Laura to get out there because she was shy and stuff. Just gave her a few pointers and stuff like that. And she went out and scored a nice permission for herself. And as all these public places and stuff get smashed up more and more, you gotta be able to door knock. I mean, you're gonna have to be able to, and so
Right.
so the first thing.
I know Steve Zulik and I have talked about it before, where like underwater detecting is kind of an untapped or a last frontier, so to speak. But in that aspect, private permissions are the untapped resource or last frontier for a lot of the land detectorists.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and like I said, it's a time-consuming hobby. There's only so many people out there doing it, and there's so many private homes out there. And a no still could turn into a yes at some point. Whether they sell the house or what have you. And but so. The first thing you want to do is research. It's always nice to know a little bit about the property, even if it's just a sentence or two, or, if a couple minute conversation about where you're going to be asking to dig. Second, don't show up with 5 or 6 people. Steph and Doug and I were together yesterday. We met at an elementary school parking lot, all hopped into one vehicle, so you're not doing a train of vehicles out at somebody's house either. You don't want to show up in 3 different cars.
Right.
Typically you want to just carpool, all meet up, hop into one car, go out door knocking. Because it's not kosher to drive up to somebody's place with 3 or 4 cars or something.
And usually not a good idea to show up in your digging gear. Like, don't go walking up with your shovel slung over your shoulder or something.
No. Just leave all that crap in the vehicle. You just go walk right up to the door. Yesterday, we pull up the driveway, and Doug says, "Just keep going." I said, "Yeah, man, just go all the way up. Just go all the way up, right by the house." And before I even got to the door, and him and Steph were like, "Do you want to stay in the car?" I'm like, "No, man, we're all going to be digging here. We're all going over to the door." That's just why. No, there's no point in hiding somebody in a vehicle. So if you're all going to be digging, you all go to the door together. You only need one person to talk.
Good point.
The first thing I do when and this guy comes walking out of his screen door, and the first look he gave me, like, "Who the hell are you?" Well, why are you pulling up my driveway? And so I walk right up to him, and I just put out my hand and said, "Hey, I'm Lou," and I live in this town, and I says we're a bunch of history geeks and metal detecting geeks, and I handed him, I actually have from one of the clubs I joined, I actually have metal detecting business cards from Central Mass Metal Detecting, and so I literally have business cards for detectives. So I handed him a business card, and I mean, after I said metal detecting and that we were history geeks, that was it. He's like, "Yeah, go right ahead." He's like, "Have fun." He's like this, he says, "This house was built." I said, "Yeah, it was built in 1770, and blah, blah, blah. And I, we just started talking and chatting, and, and after I introduced myself, I introduced Steph and Doug and everything as well. And it was just an easy permission, 30 acres, 1770, from the amount of, we found 4 coppers, that gold ring, a shoe buckle frame,
nice gold ring,
tons of stuff in a small amount of land that we actually detected at. It probably has never been detected before. So you're talking 30 acres. I mean, half of it's probably, 15 acres of woods, 15 acres, 20 acres of woods, whatever. But it's, so it's another permission. You're going to get people, though, that, you knock on the door. Don't continuously, rank on the door or anything like that. Go up, knock once, wait a minute or two. A lot of people are going to be hesitant to answer the door.
Right, especially if they look outside and they see someone they don't recognize. I mean,
yeah.
you certainly, for lack of a better description, you certainly don't want to walk up there and do a cop knock or something where, you know, they're expecting you to holler, "Open the door, we have a search warrant."
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, you know, I've been up to a few houses that actually have the old big door knockers. You know, because most of the houses I go knock at are early late 1700s or what have you. And I'll use that knock. I'll be like, boom, 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 you know. And when they open the door, I'll introduce myself and be like, yeah, sorry, I had to use this knock. I seen it. I just had to use it. And, you know, that just starts the conversation. And so there's so many different ways to start a conversation with somebody. You know, do you have a guy answering the door? Do you have a woman answering the door? You know, or do they both come, you know, husband and wife both come to the door at the same time? And so that's when having a little bit of knowledge about the property itself, really comes into play. And then, you know, if you can find old maps, you know, say there was a little skirmish, or say, some type of relevant person might have lived there, or, you know, just anything of any tidbit of historical nature could have possibly happened on their land, or, you know, at their house, or something of that nature that you could bring up to them that they might not have actually known. You know, it shows that you're really into what you're doing. And
absolutely. Not to mention the fact too, I mean, unfortunately, the hobby does have a little bit of a stigma on it from some of the television shows where some homeowners you approach, they've seen the TV shows or something, where they're thinking automatically they've got, you know, thousands of dollars worth of treasure hidden in the ground beneath them, or thousands of dollars worth of relics. At least if you're approaching with the homeowner and sharing historical research that you've done, things that you have learned about the property, I think it kind of lets the homeowner know too what your frame of mind is, you know, why you're in it. And you're not mentioning, oh, well, I'm looking for silver coins, and hey, I'll take a gold ring too if it's here, or something like that. Where
like yesterday he said, you know, if you find anything worth thousands of dollars, you know, we'll sell it and split it. You know, he said that to us, and I said, yeah, I said $1,000 or more, man. I said, we'll just sell it and split it, no problem. Yep. And so like that was our verbal agreement for that permission, you know.
Exactly, and not every permission happens like that. I mean, because same with me. I've had people where I've walked up and they've been like, "Well, yeah, sure, go ahead and knock yourself out." Oh, wait a minute though. If you find any gold, we're splitting it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Thanks.
Yeah, different people might have a different dollar denomination as far as value of something. Some people don't care, keep it all. Some people want it all. Some, you know. Just chat about that, you know, before you start digging, typically, you know, mention it. Like I always tell,
get that out of the way up front.
I tell every single person that I dig at, you know, if I find anything extremely valuable, you know, it's going to be sold. We're going to split the money. You know, that's the right thing to do as far as,
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, you find something worth $10,000. I'd feel like I'm robbing the person if I sold it and kept $10,000. You know, right. I'm a happy guy with $5,000. You know, it's not gonna, no skin off my back if I find something and the homeowner gets $5,000 and I get $5,000. That's fine.
It's still more than you had before you knocked the door.
Yeah. So don't let that. Don't let that. You know, you can take pictures of it, fondle it, put it in your mouth. You know. Just go nuts before you sell it or whatever, you know, and you'll always have those pictures and memories and stuff. Get a picture of you and the homeowner holding whatever it is. Who cares, you know? But yeah, and so you got your research to do and stuff like that. One of the biggest things always keep in your mind for anybody who doesn't have the confidence, I don't care what you look like, if you're fat, skinny, tall, short, freaking bald, have hair down to your butt, it doesn't matter. You could have no teeth, freaking beautiful smile, it doesn't matter. It's all about how you can go and talk to the person that owns the permission, and that's, yes, and you need to have the confidence in order to do that. The biggest piece of advice is, I can tell you, and one of the only good things my mom told me, you never know unless you ask. And the most that can happen is they're going to say no. Oh, well, go to the next one. If you did research, you're going to have a list of 5, 10 properties. I just finally knocked yesterday on a door that I scoped out last winter. Okay.
Right.
That was in February and March. We're in middle of September, and I just finally went and knocked on a door that I already knew I knew I wanted to go hit up in February.
That's why like you said, it's a time-consuming hobby, and whether I'm out there digging or whether I'm stuck indoors during the winter, that doesn't mean I've stopped doing the hobby. Because, like you said, the wintertime, it's a great time to research. It's a great time to clean and catalog your finds. Try to think outside of the box and get some of these sites that are off the beaten path, so to speak. Even if you're not planning on going there right away as soon as the weather breaks, you're still storing that information in the back of your mind. Like you said, I checked this place out January, February, March. I didn't even knock on the door until just the other day. You kept it in the back of your mind. And finally, hey, today's the day to try it. Let's see.
I still have like 4 or 5 other permissions that I still want to go knock at that I know about that I don't even have all the places I got to dig and the minimal amount of time I got, because a lot of the places I go during the week are just like, 5-10 minutes from me. And so I can't really drive to these other places per se. And so, I only have typically Saturdays to go for the day to dig. And so, but if you're walking up to a door, I always think to myself, you never know unless you ask. You never know unless you ask.
Absolutely. And if they say no, all right, so be it. You're on to the next spot. You're not really out anything but a little bit of your time.
If they say no, you say thanks anyway. If you ever change your mind, give me a call. If you have cards, you can give them a card. If not, you could always leave your phone number. But you always want to ask, do you possibly know of anybody that might let me do some detecting?
Right. So, we've got a call on with us, Lou. How's it going, Chuck?
Pretty good, guys. Lou, there was a question that popped up that you guys may not have seen, but Mark asked it, I believe. What was the worst permission that you asked? In other words, did you have a run-in, or did you have some sort of a problem with them, or whatever?
The first 6 years I was detecting back in the city that I lived in, I got so many no's it was unreal. I didn't do tons of research. I would just drive around, look for old homes, whatever, and there were so many no's at farms, at private, just regular homes and everything. In the past 2 years, my worst no is a 1772 property that's a 5th generation owner, has never been detected, is 17 acres. Wow. I have asked him, I drive by the house almost every day when I go to work. I've asked him probably 6 times in the past 2 years now.
I wondered. I know which one now,
and it's been a no every time, but one time he let me do this oval-shaped piece of land on the right side of the driveway. Now, this wasn't a big area, and I only had about an hour and a half, and I pulled out KG copper, a huge dandy button, 2 musket balls, a solid silver early 1800s spoon, a toasted flying eagle, and a few other relics, and this was in a tiny area. And I gave him the spoon, I gave him the musket balls, I literally gave him everything except for the dandy button and the KG in the flying eagle. I handed him a fistfuls of stuff, and and he has it all on display in his house and everything. And he's never let me.
At least he has a respect for it.
Yeah, but he says he's going to do it himself. He went out one time for like an hour, not even an hour. He says, I get bored so fast. He says, but his wife said he's been saying that for 20 years now. He's going to detect it. And he showed me a pile of probably 12 to 15 pieces of rusty nails and metal and stuff. And he said, this is all I'm finding, Lou. And I last time I was there, he actually needs work done, and he was talking about possibly bartering for me to do the labor and metal detect the land or whatever, but we didn't finish the conversation. So yeah, I mean that's the heartbreaker. Is I drive by it every day.
You could always stop by sometime, because you do stop by there regularly. You guys have got the running joke, is today going to be the day you let me hunt? Maybe you ought to stop by someday and ask him, say, hey, you got nothing going on? Why don't you grab that detector and bring it on out here to the yard? It's always better to hunt with a buddy, and I'll show you how to work that thing.
No, I told him I'd bring both of my detectors. He has like a $50 Radio Shack, and so I was gonna let him use my AT Pro, and I was gonna use my Ace 400. Yeah, and so
there you go. But that was just a question that was brought up. We had an incident just this last week. We gotten permission on a really nice area and out in Pennsylvania, and the place that we were on was built in 1700, and they had a lot of history and Revolutionary War encampment there. And we're hunting the one site, and then we went back the next morning, and this guy comes out, and he's headed right for one of my buddies that's with me. There's 3 of us. And we had permission from the owners and everybody involved. And I don't know what his intent was, but I kind of cut him off and shook his hand. We talked a little while, and he said, I mow half of this. And I said, well, yeah, I know. They told us that. Well, he goes, I don't know what his intent was. I still don't. But we got talking with him, and I was showing him what we were doing, and I pull up a beautiful colonial shoe buckle, and I sitting there brushing off, looking at it, and I don't have a collection of those of any type or shape. I said, you interested in this? He said, oh, yeah. He left, and he took his story and called the guy who given us permission and checked on us, and then comes back. He said, I just tried to call my dad. I've got 15 acres out there in the next field. I'll let you guys do that if Dad says it's okay.
There you go. That's the way to work.
Colonial site when I go back there that we get a hunt, but his mom's one of the local historians, and I handed him a card, and I said, if she's got any questions, she can call that number anytime. We'll talk about it. He said, she's just more interested in seeing what you dig up. I said, is she got something to do with the local society here? Oh, yeah. I said, I'd give it to him. I'll give him buckles. I'll give him, we found several Revolutionary War, different caliber ball. I found a regimental number there. We found colonial coins, 1751, 1774, and 77, King George's. The 51s of Carlos. We found all kinds of lamp parts and pieces and camp lead and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun, but this other guy just stunned us when he came back and said, you guys can hunt that when you come back.
And that was the owner's son?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, because he didn't know, he hadn't talked to his parents, and so he didn't know what was going on, and but yeah, that's awesome. Just walk right up to him. Don't shy away. Don't, do anything that's a lot different with rental properties. I I stay away from rental properties typically because the owner is not the person who really maintains the property. And, it's funny, your name's Chuck because there's a Chuck that lives around here that does YouTube and stuff. And he had permission on, I think it was a 2-family rental property, and it was an older property. And he's out there digging. And one of the tenants came home and just berated him and belittled him, and I don't know if he was threatened by him or whatever, but yeah, it just and Chuck was saying, I have permission to be here from the owner of the property, and you can go call him and stuff, and this guy was just excruciatingly mean to him, and and you feel bad for that situation,
right.
And so I don't want to put myself in that situation, so I stay away from any type of rental place. But how did you get that permission in the first place? Did you go up and just knock on the door?
No, we knew a guy and that had detected it one other time, and he said, check with these guys, and that's when we went up and we talked with them and got permission. I mean, it starts out as a nice church that was built in 1700. There's a 1710 house down the block, and they had a 1690 church on the other side, and they bought all this other property, and it just got bigger and bigger, and this is a rather large area, and we were very thankful that we could do that. And then I relayed all that I knew about this to the gentleman, and he went back and talked to him. So he's probably going to get permission on another 17 acres, and it might fall into another 10-acre patch. That's all through this area where Washington's camped.
I'll be out there in a couple weeks to come detecting with you. No.
There you go. Well, it's only 800 miles from me to the east.
Yeah, he's going to have to plan for that.
They're going to detect themselves. I always hand them a card and say, I'll tell you what, here's my number. When you're ready to buy a detector, call me.
I'll even come out and show you how to use it.
Yeah,
show them how to use it. Great.
If anybody has an extra detector, when they're going to seek a permission, definitely always offer to have them come out swinging with you. I would say 99% of the time, they ain't gonna want to,
Right, they just don't have an interest in it.
No, but and a lot of people do, when you start explaining what, how you dig a hole, I tell people, in their yards especially, I dig a three-sided hole, and you flip it up so you're not killing all the roots around it. You dig a deep
trap door.
Yes, and you dig a deep enough plug so that you're digging under the roots themselves as well. And and I explain all of this. Typically I only dig because I'm just damn good and I pinpoint like a crazy person, and so I typically only dig like a 6-inch plug.
And that's a good point. Not to say anything, but be good at your pinpointing and make that hole tighter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And when I bring people, I don't beat around the bush. I tell anybody that's with me detecting in a yard, you better make sure you do clean plugs.
Right, because now it doesn't just reflect upon them; it reflects upon you.
Yes,
and the rest of us.
Absolutely. I mean, when you dig a plug in moss, you're not going to get a clean plug, because the moss just falls apart. There's nothing you can do about it. The most you can do is literally, when you cut the plug, take the moss and just like pick it up and move it aside, and then dig your hole, and then just like sort of a wig, take the moss and move it back on if you really want to do it nice and pretty. But yeah, and I mean, in the fall, everything's dying anyway, and so you don't have to be as cautious, because come springtime, it's all going to be purdy again anyway. That's a lot in the summer times and stuff. But it's a lot. It's how you present yourself. You don't want to go up there. I mean, I got all different kinds of detecting shirts, my cool Beyond Sight and Sound shirt, and so, I'm always wearing detecting, t-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And I don't go up there smelling and, I make sure I brush my teeth and stuff like that, but it's if you have the means to get cards, that is definitely a good thing to do. And
well, let's face it, cards they're simple to get a hold of.
Yeah, I mean, you go into like Vistaprint, you can make your own for $10, you get 500 or whatever. That'll last you forever.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've got a number of cards that I can just hand out to people. And then I carry those with me, too, when I'm out in the field, in case people come up to me with questions about the hobby, or if I can find something for them, things of that nature. And I keep those set off to the side, because those cards that I carry with me while I'm out hunting, if people are coming up with questions about the hobby or what kind of a detector should they get, then I'll hand them one of those, because on the back of each one of those, I have Chuck's information written on, where I can say, well, hey, you're looking to buy a detector. Here you go. This is my information. Flip the card over, and that's Chuck Smalley. You can call him. He'll set you up with a good detector.
Well, what's awesome about the cards that I got through the club and everything, it has my name, email, phone number, and everything. But at the bottom, it says we offer a free recovery service. So you always explain that to the homeowner as well while handing them the card.
Exactly.
Hey, if you ever lose anything, and that all comes into, have you ever lost anything? You always want to ask them if they've ever lost anything on the property that possibly you could find.
Right. Is there anything I should be looking for? Because sometimes that's your in, where maybe they're not so receptive to it, but then you mention that and they're going, hey, wait a minute. My wife did lose her ring. Maybe he can find it for us.
And that's when you say, do you happen to have any pictures of it? Because they could be like, oh, yeah, we lost a diamond ring.
Right.
And then you find a diamond ring, but it's not really the one that they lost. But and so you want to cover yourself as well as help them out in the same aspect.
Absolutely.
The gold ring I found yesterday has some crazy inscription on it, and Nancy, who's a jewelry expert, was just posted today that it's from the early 1900s.
Good job.
Ain't no ring recovery happening with that.
No.
But it's some crazy inscription. I don't even know what it says. It might have like reference to a Bible verse on it. Some of it might be Latin. It's just weird.
I did see it looked like there was something inside the band there. I just couldn't quite make it out in the one photo you had posted, because it was primarily focused on the stamp and the maker's mark.
Yeah, I posted in other groups all the photos of the entire thing. I don't know which one you happen to look at, but
probably Awesome Relics or All Metal Militia.
Yeah. So first step, research, get all the info you can. Second step, you never know unless you ask. Just go out there, knock on that door. If you want to bring people, bring one or two, that it's people that, you like digging with, etc.
Right.
And maybe only one of you is really good at talking. So, you go, you knock on the door, you have your conversation. If it's a no, say thank you, ask them if they possibly know anybody else. If it's a yes, continue the conversation. Have fun. I've talked to people for 2 hours before I started digging at a new permission. I mean, I'm stupid like that because I don't know how to shut up. And
right, my afternoon's half gone now.
Yeah, and so I literally, sometimes I have to, after 45 minutes, hour of talking, I'm like, oh man, I got to get out and see what you got in the ground, and I'm always very excitable and excited about doing it and energetic and stuff and so, but start with your town, start with the place that you live, that the best, go to local events, talk to people. The biggest thing ever is I've gotten so many permissions at my kids' school dance, or not dance, but school functions, just talking to other parents about metal detecting. And that, and it's always, oh, you do that? What, do you find anything cool? And that leads into the conversation. And I've gotten probably 15 permissions just doing that,
Yeah, walk into the local school play wearing one of your metal detecting shirts, and maybe they walk up and say, so do you actually do that stuff? And there you go. The door's open.
Yeah. And so that's a lot to do. As far as, I have people message me and stuff saying, I want to come dig with you. I don't even know who these people are. They live in, Mass or New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, whatever. And I'm very hesitant unless I meet somebody face to face, just bringing some random person to one of my permissions.
Right. I was going to bring that up myself, because a lot of the times I have no problem taking people with me to a permission. But I won't necessarily. Right, I won't necessarily just take somebody that I've just met and go door knocking to a place that I've never been before or they've never been before, if I don't have at least some sort of rapport already established with that person, and maybe have been out digging with them once or twice on public land, where I can see for myself how they conduct themselves. How are they cutting their plugs? Are they picking up their trash? Things like that, before I would take them on to a place that I just go up and cold knock.
Well, see, I'm the opposite. So what I do is, like, say somebody, I don't know, we'll say in Connecticut wants to dig with me. What I'll do is I'll say, okay, well, we can meet halfway. So I'll drive, say, if it's an hour, we're an hour between each other. We each meet a half hour from our homes to a central location. I'll actually do research on that town or somewhere around there and pick a spot where we can meet, typically at like a school or parking lot or something like that, and then we'll hop in one vehicle. I don't really care about hopping in a vehicle with some random stranger. It really, it's not going to bother me. I got a big digger. I got a big digger with me. I mean, I'll whack him over the head, whatever.
Right. So we're not worried about the making of a serial killer or anything.
No. And we'll go door knock at a mutual central location. So I'm not bringing them. I don't know them. They don't know me. I don't know how they detect, etc. But we're going to a new site together that we don't know what's in it, what's not in it. And on the way there, you're always having conversations, yeah, so how do you dig your plugs, blah, blah, blah. You're always having detecting conversations.
So you're at least feeling each other out.
Yeah. And then when you start, once you get a permission and you start detecting, you sort of stay next to each other. And I mean, I'm no expert by any means. I'll never claim to be an expert or anything of that nature. I do dig a lot of yards, and I do know how to dig extremely nice plugs. I know how to finger rake the dirt back in. I don't bring a towel with me. After I hand pound the plug after with my bare fists, and then I take my hand and I wipe it over the grass and sort of ruffle around the grass and move any loose dirt that didn't make it back in and down below the grass line type thing.
Right, kind of fluff the grass back up a little bit, so to speak.
And more so to get any leftover dirt down towards the bottom of the grass.
Exactly.
Around it, so that you basically can't tell. A lot of people will leave that little bit of extra dirt around the hole. Well, I can tell that you dug a hole there, But then that location, most of the time, I mean, I've driven an hour in multiple different directions to meet with people, do door knocking, and then I let them have those permissions because I don't know if I'll ever get back there, And at the end of the day, it's either you come to a mutual agreement, we won't dig this site unless we're together. Have at it. You can come back here anytime you want by yourself. Whatever.
Which I'm sure they appreciate.
Yeah, but it's a matter of the person you're digging with that you just met per se, that you have some type of agreement when you leave there, and that's when the trust will build. Where are they gonna, if it's oh well, let's just dig this. If you're finding tons of really cool stuff, say, and you want to dig it together, but they go back there 5 times without you, and then that bridge is burned.
Right.
You'll never dig with that person again. You're going to blow them up online and stuff like that. And
right.
I hope
we've all had plenty of those experiences.
I don't want to ever meet one of those experiences. I'm not that type of person. I'm extremely upfront and honest. And the day comes that somebody does that to me is the day that the mean side of me is going to come out. And
right.
Nobody's going to like that. I'm a happy-go-lucky Lou person, Yeah.
Lou, I got a question for you. I experienced something out in the east the other day, and you brought it up. You said you'll drive about an hour in any direction. I found out there an hour in any direction is about 3 miles.
Well, I live in Central Mass. If you go down towards Boston, you ain't going anywhere fast.
Right,
man.
Yeah.
An hour here is about 60 miles.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And you can probably see where you started to where you left, because it's just depending on where in Pennsylvania, I guess. But it's pretty. Some areas are pretty damn flat.
Well, not exactly where we were at, but we did drop down through Delaware and Maryland and along the Chesapeake there, but the traffic was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
so
you guys were definitely covering ground.
Yeah, we did. So, well, anyway, I'm going to back out, and you guys, a good show, Lou, by the way. You sound like you're having a lot of fun with the hobby, and that's what we like to see, and it sounds like you're doing it pretty well right, and people are happy with you, and what you're doing there, keep it up.
Thanks a lot, Chuck. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for the call,
that's
Chuck.
pretty cool. You do good. Have a great day, and I'll get out of here and keep listening.
All right.
All right.
So,
bye-bye.
So, Dig Dug and I are driving up the Pound of Ground in a couple weeks, and this is funny. I've been doing some scoping and stuff on some properties up there, and he's gonna pick me up real early on Friday.
Oh, you're gonna hunt the way up, huh?
And we're gonna go do some door knocking on Friday.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I figured that'd be a fun thing to do on Friday before the meet and greet and stuff. If we get up there by noon or so, go do some door knocking, maybe go swinging for a few hours, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm gonna go do some door knocking in New York. Why not, right? And
yeah. I mean, you might as well maximize your potential.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'll knock on anybody's door anywhere at any time, and I mean, I could have a 5-hour conversation with a brick wall, though. There's not a ton of people that probably would do that, but I talk to myself a lot too.
Well, and I have seen some homeowners that kind of fall into that category, but
So yeah, I mean, that's about the gist of it. There is so much more to it, as far as the different type of homeowners. I had one permission that was originally a no, and it was a sweetheart of an old elderly lady. And I drove out to Deerfield, Mass, which is an hour away, and I just continued the conversation with her and stuff, and it was fine. I asked her if she knew anybody else and this and that, and after a few more minutes of conversation, she was like, you know what, you boys, you go have fun, and I'll let you guys do that, blah blah blah. And she's like, my daughter will be back in about a half hour, and if you can just introduce yourself when she gets here. And so, sure enough, when she pulled up, I walked right over to her, too, and started talking with her,
There you go.
So, you know, I mean, you don't know until you try. And that's I love seeing people that, you know, that are sort of like they come out of their shell, I guess you would say, to not ever door knocking at all, to going out and trying to do it and stuff like that. And even Steph down in Connecticut's out door knocking, you know, she's door knocking away. And she scored a couple permissions and stuff, and you know, I'm happier than pig and poo for her. I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, it's not real easy to take that first step, so to speak. But if they've got someone along with them, maybe that kind of works them through it a couple of times, they see they're able to get permissions, and then they try it themselves. The more they do it, which I'm sure was kind of the case with you, the more you did it, the more comfortable you started to become with it, to where now it's just second nature.
Yeah,
that's a lot of times that's what it is for some of the other people, is they just have to break that ice and get over that first hurdle. It doesn't mean that they'll get yeses all the time, but
if you're someone that's done the research per se, you know,
exactly.
and know of places, but are just too damn shy to do it yourself, but don't mind digging with someone else, find somebody that you like digging with that has the confidence to go and dig, and bring them along, you know, to dig with you, and have them do all the talking and stuff like that, you know, because I mean, I would gladly go. I mean, if somebody, you know, was like, hey Lou, you want to drive down here? I got like 3 places that I've scoped out, and you know, they could tell me about them, or you know, even just how old they are or whatever, and you know, come down with me for the day and try to get me these permissions, and I'd happily go do it. You know, there's quite a few people. I think it's Brian Williams. You know, I've heard he's really good at door knocking. You know, there's a few other people that are just totally comfortable doing it, and you know, it's a matter of, like me. I mean, this is just me though. I would happily go do it, dig for the day, and then they can just go have the permissions. They did the research. If they want to invite me back, great. If they don't, great. That's no skin on my back, off my back. I have so many permissions that I can go detect that anyway. And,
right.
And so, but to go down, you know, and just dig for the day with somebody, get them a permission or two, or, you know, what have you, then great. You know, and that's another way to get permissions, but you got to not mind having somebody along with you to get you those permissions, you know.
Right.
And it's somebody that you would have to trust to do it, that's not going to go back and you know, like, I mean, me personally would never do that, you know, but you know, there are people out there that would be like, no, I got the permission, it's mine.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, you know, if you start pulling out silver coins up to wazooie and stuff like that, like, you know, it's just, so there's all different curveballs, I guess, as well. But
right, yeah, because you never know. I mean, maybe one of these permissions, all of a sudden, you start making all the good finds, and now they're getting frustrated. Well, he's finding everything. Heck with this, I'm going to go hunt on my own somewhere.
That could happen anywhere at any time, though. I mean,
exactly.
Look, I got that permission at that Rev War prison and stuff, and I mean, we pulled out over 40 coppers out of that place. And there was 3 different private permissions there. You know, we're pulling out shoe buckle frames, you know, Rev War items, you know, coins was up the wazooie and stuff. And I just kept inviting more people because they didn't mind, you know.
Right.
And so, I mean, if they're going to allow, you know, 5 or 6 people there, why not? More the merrier, you know.
Yeah, that's the more the merrier. And you never know. Some of these people that you reached out to and invited like that, maybe they'll wind up turning around and, you know, we had a great time out with Lou that day. Let's reciprocate. Let's invite him out to a couple of our spots.
Yeah. And I don't ever expect that. I don't know. I'm weird. And you know, I just got done saying it on a post earlier today. I like hosting people as long as they're finding stuff. You know, I don't have any problem really, as long as the owner of the permission owner doesn't mind me having people there. I love having people come to different places that I've permission.
Yes, and that used to be kind of a thing for me where I was always, I don't know, I would invite people out to a permission that I had, but then I was kind of, man, the pressure's on. I hope they find something cool. I hope they enjoy themselves. Yep. And then it just finally got to the point where sometimes they would make the find of the day, so to speak. Other times, maybe they didn't find much, and that's just the reality of it, no matter where we go. So finally, I just started telling people, well, hey, I got a spot I can put you on. I know there's stuff there to be found, but it's up to you to get your coil over.
Well, and that's the advantage of door knocking with people. Instead of having them say to one of your sites, go out and door knock with one or two people that want to dig with you, because then it's a completely brand new site. Nobody knows what's in the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, then it's not one of those situations where they're like, oh, well, I didn't find anything, but it's because the guy cleaned it all out on me before he even invited me.
Exactly, and so, so I say the same thing to people. I can have you over to this site or that site. I've detected the crap out of it, but we could also go door knocking and try to find a brand new place to go.
Right. Kind of level playing field for both of us. What's going on, Pirate?
I want to know when he's taking me detecting.
Well, we were talking before the show, Barb, and I think Lou said he's up to probably 100 Indians this year, or getting close.
No, over the last 2 years. Over the last 2 years.
The last 2 years.
Yeah.
But still, I think that's a couple more than you've found. So maybe he can put you on a spot.
Well, Barb, when are you going to be up around this area? Are you going to pound the ground?
No, I'm not.
Well, if you're ever up in the Massachusetts area, definitely message me on Facebook. And
she does go up usually once a year.
Yeah, we could definitely, either go door knocking or I can bring you somewhere for sure. I don't mind.
Yeah, I was born and raised on Martha's Vineyard, so I go and visit Mommy Dearest every June.
Well, next June, if you want to, Martha's Vineyard's, probably about 2.5 hours from me. But if you want to drive out, or we could meet somewhere or whatever and do some door knocking, then I'm game.
Cool beans.
We'll find something.
See, I'm sure Barb would get a kick out of that.
Yeah, and I think she just get a kick out of listening to me.
When I started listening, I was a couple minutes late because I was cooking. So when I jumped in, I said, I'm like, he's definitely from Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
I parked the car over there.
Yep. That's one of the reasons why we like having Lou on the show. He's got such a good attitude about the hobby. He just likes to get out there and have fun, and you got to love that accent.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been permissions that I've gotten that really didn't have anything old. I thought it was going to be something great, and and all I'm doing is finding trash and new stuff and
visions of coppers dancing in your head.
Just anything old or whatever, and whether it was most of them, you're finding Wheaties and stuff like that. So it wasn't detected before, but it was, it's just not producing anything, 1700s, whatever. And so you don't ever get down in the dumps about a permission either. There's always more.
That's a good point too. Say you get a permission, because for some people, they are kind of funny like this. How long, if you start finding wheat pennies and stuff, do you stick in there hoping for older, or do you have a kind of like a certain time frame that you draw the line where you're like, okay, it's fun, but it's just not really producing like I thought it would. It's time to move on.
Well, let's say the home's 1860, and all I'm doing is finding weeds and stuff. No, yeah, I'm staying there for the day and swinging away. I might not go back. Yeah, it might be a backup plan type permission. If they, as long as they say you can come back. Because hell, you're digging weeds, you could find a standing liberty or a walking liberty. I mean, you just don't know.
Exactly, and those are two of my favorite. That's kind of the way I am about it too. I'll go ahead and at least stick it out. But I've hunted with some people where they're like, man, it's been 15 minutes. We're not finding anything. Let's move on. And it's like, come on, you got to give it a chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I'm swinging for, 2 hours and like I haven't found anything, then it's a good possibility the site's been, hunted out or something, whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I'll usually stick it up for a while and look for hot areas or, what have you. And maybe some, if it was detected before, maybe try to find an area that, maybe they didn't swing at,
Yeah, because they don't find it all.
Yeah, no, nobody ever finds it all. That's a big farce if anybody says that they found it all.
Right, nothing is ever completely hunted out. I mean, that's a lot of times. Yes, the private permissions are definitely good for potential and finds because not everybody hits it. But sometimes I even like going back to some of these public areas that people will say, oh, well, that place has been pounded. You're not going to find anything there, just because of the fact that it's never completely hunted out. And when you can squeak that keeper out of there, it almost has a little more meaning to me at that point, because, hey, I pulled this out of the place that everybody said you're not going to find anything.
Yeah, listen, Copper Hill is getting harder and harder to find targets. But I went out there this morning, real early this morning, for an hour and a half, and I found 9 inches deep. I found a copper friendship ring. It says friendship and it's got flowers on it. It's like a wideband ring. I found an 1887 Indian head, like 3 or 4 more buttons. Dig Dug let me borrow his NEL 13-inch by 14-inch storm coil.
Nice. What do you think of that storm?
Oh, that thing's heavy, man. It's heavy. I've been swinging the 5x8 for the last couple of weeks now, and so an hour and a half for swinging that big thing, and I'm like, geez, oh man. And it was getting a bigger area, so like the Indian head, it was only 4 or 5 inches down, so it was just something I missed. One of the buttons was like 9-10 inches down. The friendship ring was about 9 or 10 inches down. And so, the bigger coil did help in that aspect.
Right, the storm did pull it out for you. You may have to think about a harness or something, but who knows? We've got another caller on with us too, out of New Jersey. How's it going, Fred?
Hey, Josh. I just have something that I heard Lou say that he dug an 1877 Indian. Isn't that
87?
No, 87. 87.
Oh.
But yes, you're right. The 70s. Yeah, the 77 is the one you want to dig, and yes, he did get a little excited because he saw that second 7 first.
Yeah, when I was it was all caked up, and I was cleaning it at home, and I seen a 7, and I was like, "Oh man, come on now!" And then it was crusty. All the rest of it was crusty past the 7, and so it took me a little bit of work to get the rest of the date, and it was an 87.
That's a teaser for sure. Yeah. Well, that's all right. I mean, that's like I found the 1916 Merc, and I was turning it over, and I was like, "Come on." But it wasn't a D,
Give me the
right,
D.
Please be a D.
Yeah, well, and those are the ones you're always looking for, I guess. But I was talking to I messaged Josh earlier today because we went on a club hunt yesterday, and one of the guys at the hunt, I didn't find any silver or Indians, but one guy found 25 Indians on this one property.
That's just silly. That's so awesome.
And your name was mentioned in the conversation, Barb.
Yeah, well, I thought that would make Barb a little jealous hearing that, but It made me jealous here and that because I didn't find one Indian, and this guy found 25, and he found a barber quarter, 1898 or something, and 2 barber dimes, and a shield nickel or something, or a V nickel, I think it was. So he was killing it. He was in the right spot. I was we were on the same property, but I was working the perimeter of the property, and he was working the central area where everybody wants to congregate, I guess.
Yeah,
so
Fred was working the outskirts where the other people were more localized to the higher traffic areas. They were finding the stuff that everybody dropped near the food. They had a big food building where with open benches. It was probably a 20-acre religious retreat in Pennsylvania, and we got permission to go on there. Our vice president got us our club for club hunt to hunt there all day. So it was a lot of fun. But I was I felt a little put off that I didn't find anything good like that. But it all comes down to exactly where you are in a place like that.
Yeah.
Because it's well, you might, like you said, you might go hunting for an hour and never find anything good, but you're just not in the right spot.
Yeah, even
on a big property.
Or it's just not your day.
If there's an old well, on a home site, the traffic path from a doorway to that well and back to the house, you want to hit that up really good. There's
clotheslines. Clotheslines are good.
Yeah.
You know where the clothesline was? If I found that on residential properties anyway. If you knew there was a clothesline, you'll usually find some coins that dropped out of laundry or something when they were hanging it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the old stuff that you're looking for.
I've pulled some nice barber dimes that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You could definitely find some early 1900s stuff. I mean, you talk 1800s. Not.
You're looking for more colonial stuff. I mean, it sounds like Which,
yeah. I mean, living in Mass, yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. For Lou, the older the better.
Yeah.
You get spoiled. C.T. Todd's that way too. If it's not colonial, he doesn't want to hear about it.
He was just on Digging with Maddie right before this show.
He put on a good show again tonight. He was over on Digging with Maddie. Lou and I were we were watching that before the show, and even as we were going live, that's why I had to kind of step out for a minute at the beginning of the show. Actually, they had drawn my name for a prize, and I dropped my phone and knocked myself out of their chat, so I had to get back in there. Lou had to take over.
Did you get in in time? Did you get in time? Yeah. All right, I want half of that gold, that little piece of gold. You cut that in half, you mail me half of that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it probably amounts to about a half of a 1 gram silver bar.
Yeah. That was funny though, because I was waiting for them to draw the name, and you're going live, and I seen them. The first person they called wasn't on anymore, and then they pulled your name, Josh, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's muted me. I can't even tell him."
No, I could hear you, but I dropped my phone trying to let him know I was there. It knocked me out of the chat, so I had to get back in there, or try to in time. And I get back in just in time to hear everybody saying, he'll never answer because he's not here. It's Sunday. He's going live now, so he's not here. Everybody go over and tell him he could have won. And then they saw me in there, and they're, oh my God, how did he do that? He is here. Oh, he barely got in though.
Yeah, and I mean, if anybody, if anybody ever has any questions about door knocking or anything like that, look me up on Facebook. You can message me, and information's free. I'm not a lawyer, and so. I mean,
really, when it comes to talking shop, Lou loves to talk detecting.
Yeah. Yep. Could do it all day.
That's one thing I haven't really perfected in my metal detecting career. Is I've been asking more permissions, and I just have to get over that hump of doing it. Do it a few times, because the worst I can say is no, right?
Yeah, so, right. That's exactly.
I mean,
and you never know unless you ask.
And like we said, the more you do it, the easier it winds up becoming for you. Where you're, some people get the sweaty palms and all of that, but the more they do it, then they're okay with it. You know, like I don't know, some people out there, they may get the sweats and, you know, have to change 3 shirts while they're asking for permission. But once they've done it a few times, it's
but don't be
I can see that.
Shy. If you do sweat, just say I'm sorry, I'm super nervous about actually doing this. I don't do this.
I'm just so excited about this property.
Yeah, I just started door knocking. You know, you're one of the first people I knocked at, and you know, explained to them that it's nerve wracking as well. I mean, that's the most you can do is be honest.
Right. And really, I mean, it goes both ways. For some of the homeowners, maybe they've never been approached, and it's a little nerve-wracking for them too.
Yep. Yeah, I try to make the person that I'm talking to feel as comfortable as I can, and you know, saying that I'm like a metal detecting geek and a history nut and stuff, you know, and that's sort of busting your own chops and you know, cracking jokes about yourself is always a good way to show you have
breaking the ice.
Yeah, and you have a sense of humor and stuff like that, and so it helps a lot with if the homeowner's nervous, you know, and so yeah, there's.
Well, I asked my neighbor who lives across the street from me if I could metal detect. Like, he has a lower part of his front yard that he had an old house there that he tore down and built this big like mini mansion type thing up on top of the hill, but the lower section is really close to our road, and our road is there from the 1700s. So I asked him for permission to metal detect there, and he was somewhat ambiguous in his answer. You know, he never really said, "Oh yeah, sure." He said, "Oh, if you find anything valuable, you got to give it to me." You know, like, but he never really said yes. So so I just take it for granted now that I can go on there. But the guy's kind of a strange guy. But he never, you know, do you ever get that sort of ambiguous type answer from people where they're not committing themselves to yes or no? They're like, you know, that's what I got from him.
Yeah, no, because I mean, he more or less said, you know, you could, by saying if you ever find anything expensive, that's more or less admitting you to and allowing you to detect there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like a yes to me.
If you find anything expensive, you'd have to give it to him, basically. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird reaction to it. You know, I almost felt like he was like very defensive. He's a strange guy that way anyway, but. I'm going to go do it anyway because it's, like I said, our road, I found colonial stuff on my property, and I know that my neighbor found a Revolutionary War cannonball in her backyard. So there was a lot of activity through here in that period.
You know what I would do? I would go over there, detect it for like a half hour, show him what you found, and then go from there. Or go detect it for an hour, see what you find, you know, go from there, you know. And show him, and
probably
he might,
like a half an acre area. So it won't take a long time to detect it, but I would try to be thorough with it anyway. Because you just never know in this around here. Because Jersey had a lot of colonial activity during that period. The whole George Washington's army marched right past here almost.
Yeah,
right down on 202. So it's
took General Burgoyne's army down there.
Yeah. There's I found. Colonial stuff right along the main road down there, 202. I found like a copper buckle that was a sash buckle, supposedly for one of the Revolutionary War soldiers.
Nice.
And I found big old shoe buckles, colonial shoe buckles in the woods. Some real heavy ones. They said they might have been military. So I'm not an expert on that stuff, but I love finding that kind of stuff. So that's what kind of keeps me going. But,
absolutely. I mean, and you don't have to necessarily be an expert. I mean, that's part of the fun of the hobby is when you make that certain find and then you go through and you do the research to find the story behind it. You wind up coming out with not only more information about the item that you've just recovered and probably maybe even more respect about the item you just recovered, but more educated in general to where if somebody else finds something like that and they don't know what it is, you're able to tell them. You're able to tell them all that you learned about the one that you found.
Yeah,
I've learned more about history, metal detecting, than I ever learned in school in history. I kind of turned off on history class.
Exactly, because when it's tangible and you can hold it, it has
you're holding
lot
it in
more
your hand
meaning.
And you find out what it is. You know, it's amazing. No, it's a great hobby, and I heard that you found, Lou, I heard that you found a gold ring. Josh had said to me you found a gold ring recently.
Yeah, just yesterday.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
18
well,
carat.
Pretty cool.
It's, I don't know, it's got to be a half-inch wide. Thing weighs a ton. And it's got some crazy inscription on the inside of it that I don't know. I don't even know what it means. I posted it in like 5 groups on Facebook, and nobody, it was funny because 2 different people at first, both of them in different groups, said it could be Latin, and then both of them said, you know what, because it says 19 and 7/8, and then it has a space and then 11. And so both of them said that could be a Bible verse as well. You know, a book of the Bible, chapter 19, verse 7, 8, and 11, or something like that. But it was just ironic that they were in different sites, but they both said Latin at first, and then, like 20 minutes later, whatever, they both were like, oh, it could be a Bible verse,
Yeah.
And so.
And where was that on? What kind of property did you find that on? A home site or woods or? Yeah,
it was a 1770s permission that I got yesterday with Steph and Doug, and there's somebody in one of the clubs I'm in that she's an awesome jewelry expert, and she's over in the UK right now, but she did chime in and say that it's from the early 1900s.
Nice.
So
that's nice
with the maker mark that's on it. So.
Well, that's a terrific find,
Yeah, it's definitely
absolutely.
Somebody did find one of those at that permission yesterday too. They found a gold wedding band, man's gold wedding band, but it didn't look extremely old. Most of the activity on that property was from the late 1800s forward. So it could have been from the early 1900s. We don't really know, but it was a pretty good sized ring.
What was the stamp in it?
I think it was 14 karat. I don't think it was 18 karat. And I don't know if it had any. I don't know if it had any other markings.
Chances are good with that style of stamp. It dates either. It won't date before 1906ish, probably.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't look.
But that's still early 1900s.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if it had any. I'll see it again at our club meeting, but. The guy just showed me I had a brief view of it, He had it on his finger.
Right.
He was, real proud that he found it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
there's
we've
something
got
like that out in it,
Right. And we've got River Styx on with us as well. How's it going, Tom?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good, good.
Hey, Lou, you were talking about doing good holes and everything like that. One of the things I was going to tell you, you ever see those windshield sunscreens? You buy them at the auto parts store, and they twist down into a little circle.
Yeah.
And then you can, pop them up and put them in the windows.
Yep.
If you pull a wire of those, that material...
Did we lose him?
Yeah, it sounds like we're losing him. His signal's not real good tonight.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, but we've got you for the time being.
All right. Well, I was just saying, for some reason, that material works great. And I found if you dig a small or shallow top of the hole, flip it back like you were saying, and then put all the dirt on that, pour it back in, it works great. But the biggest reason I called in was when you were talking about that ring. Take it to one of them old Catholic churches around there and let the... see if you can find one of them old priests, let them take pictures and send it in.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing some digging on it as far as just to try to find out what the inscription actually is. It might be a wintertime project if I can try to, email pictures or something like that to somebody in the meantime. But I do a lot of that stuff when I can't dig, as
Right.
Only so many.
I had 2 thoughts that Google, where you take the picture and you put it up there and it identifies it.
Yeah. I haven't figured out how to use that yet. I still haven't figured out how to use that. I tried. It's what is it, reverse something they call it?
Yeah, reverse image search.
Yeah, and I tried to do it one time, and I felt so stupid. I was like, how can I not figure this out? you know. So yeah, but yeah, no, I might try that again. I'm actually going to look in the Bible at every single chapter 19 of each book of the Bible, Old and New Testament, just to see if chapter, verses 7 to 8 and 11 mean anything possibly like pertaining to a wedding. I know
right on.
Laura posted one that the book of Revelations, chapter 19, verse 7 and 8. It actually is a verse all about a woman in a white gown, being wed and stuff. And so, that was pretty cool that she posted that. And that's why I was like, well, I'm going to have to look at every single book now just to see if there's any others that actually pertain to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but it sounds like you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And you might even have something from the other side of the coin, like the cult version from like Salem witchery or something.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what 19. It looks like 19 and 7 space 11. Whether it's 19 verse 7 8, but it says TOTOT. Ho. It says ho ho tu. So ho ho 2. MNL lower E, and then 19 and 7 11.
You might get chased out of the Catholic Church.
Yeah. I like I said, I don't know what it is, and I posted it in 5 groups. Hopefully somebody, a couple people have chimed in, and it'll be cool to find out, if I can find out what it is. It's just a mystery to be solved.
There you go.
Where's there? Do you have a photo of the inscription online?
Yeah, it's in Awesome Relics New England group.
Okay.
I mean, it's under my own personal page. But yeah, Awesome Relics New England, All Metal Militia, and I don't even remember what else. Diggers KG. I don't know if you heard of Diggers KG. That's KG and Ringy's Facebook page.
I'm not on that.
Or maybe even try posting it on the ID Me group.
Well, Awesome Relics New England is the best Facebook group out there. So sorry.
Well, I'm on Militia, and I know where your page is, so I'll just go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of them I had only posted because I didn't want to blow up too many pictures. I guess I don't know, but I just posted the 18 karat and not the other ones. And then somebody asked me, and so I was like, oh, let me post the other ones because they asked about it. And
right.
so I went in and edited. I don't know if All Metal was one of them. I think I put all the pictures on All Metal. So, but yeah.
Can I ask you one question now? Did you? Is the first thing you did is pop that in your mouth? Is that what you're famous for?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a gold or silver coin. I did put it. I did put it in my mouth after the fact. And I just sort of just put it on the ring right around my lips. And okay. I was gonna put my tongue through it and everything, but
You have no hesitancy doing that with all the organisms in the ground and everything. I'm not a germaphobe, but I kind of stopped at that point.
I don't know. I mean, the ground. I drink well water. I mean,
Yeah, but I have a well in my house, so I drink the ground. I know.
Yeah, but whose finger was that on when they slaughtered a pig or a person?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been in the ground a long time. So.
It's not about how you die. It's about how you lived. Right?
Well,
yeah.
There you go. How can you argue with that?
I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with that point of view.
Listen, I mean, in the end of it all, we're all dead anyway.
Todd loves it when I post a video of putting a coin in my mouth. He loves it.
Oh,
I've seen you do it on the videos.
Yeah, if I find
now you have Steph doing that now. I saw her on a video.
Oh, she says she ain't ever doing that again. I had Sean, Sergeant Sean there down south. He did it once and did a shout out to me down there, putting a coin in his mouth. He said he ain't ever doing it again.
Well, as long as you doesn't affect you, it's fine. It's your own thing. But good way to clean coins, I guess.
Lou, is that on the post with Doug and Steph?
Yeah, I tagged them in it. No, I don't think it's in their post. It's in my post.
Right,
so.
The one that you've got them tagged in.
Yeah. Yeah. So. But it's
there it is.
Yeah, you gotta click on the pictures and scroll through them all, and I put it how it reads, so it'll be,
I see it.
Ho 2 LM MNLE or something like that, and the 19 and 7 ace 11 is really what threw me off. I was like, I was at a loss. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Right, yeah, kind of like when you look in the band and see 3 X's instead of 14K or whatever.
Yeah, yep.
Well, I hope you find out. I have to get off now, but I enjoyed listening to your hints about your advice about door knocking and everything. And I like I said, I have to get over some hesitancy to do that. But I think that's really the answer to to getting fresh territories. So
absolutely,
that's what I'm going to try to pursue. So you enjoy the rest of your show, and Josh, good talking to you. And,
absolutely, always a pleasure to hear from you, Fred.
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to get on much lately, but I just figured I'd call in tonight and shoot the breeze a little bit. But you have a great week, and I hope you're feeling good right through. I'm always pulling for you. So
thank you.
And Lou, it's good talking to you.
You as well, man.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Right. I'll see you. Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, Lou, it looks like a Ta or a 2.
What does it look like?
His signal's cutting out again, apparently.
Ho 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it looks like a Ta
or a
2.
Or a U.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
But
Right.
19 and 7/8, what the hell could that be?
Yeah, I don't know. We can chat about that on the post, though, if you want to comment on it, and then if anybody, you'll see if anybody else posts anything on info on it. That if you comment on the post.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna Google 19 and 7/8 and just see what all comes up.
Yeah, try it. Well, see, I typed it all. I typed it all in. I didn't get much. So
if you happen to find out anything, make sure and post it in a comment on that post so we can all know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, good luck, Licky Lou.
All right,
One guy in
man.
the post was calling you Licky Lou instead of Lucky Lou, so that was pretty funny.
Dave's a punk. He's changing my name.
Yeah, and then someone called you Lucky. Oh, the woman in there, Laura, I think her name was. She called you Lucky Licky Lou.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got plenty of names for me, I guess.
Oh, very cool. Congrats on it, man. It's a good find. To me, the gold stamp doesn't look that old. It doesn't look like an antique stamp. It looks more like 40s, 50s, modern.
Yeah, I don't know what the S and the diamond. I don't know. I have no idea what the make and mark is. So.
No, still.
I'm not.
Yeah,
good find.
Go to a jeweler. They should be familiar with the mark.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Well, go to a reputable jeweler.
Yeah, I gotta.
Yeah, someone who can test gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. You have a good evening.
Thank you as well.
And thanks for the call, Tom.
Yep.
Well, I guess we've actually. Let's see here. Yeah, we have been running on for a while. It's always such a pleasure speaking with you, though. You've always got plenty of stuff to talk about. We may have to get you back again before the end of the year and go for round 3.
Well, I told you I'll be on after Pound of the Ground. We'll be talking all about that because that's gonna be an expedition. That
would be a great idea. We could do a recap of the hunt, maybe the permissions you got on the way up, what you found at the hunt, how great of a time everybody had, because I'm sure you're going to have plenty of stories.
Yeah. You know what I could try to do, too, is get a couple other people on here along with at the same time, so we could all possibly, couple people, so the chat doesn't get insane. But but yeah, get a couple people on, me and another son, chat about Pound the Ground. It'll be fun times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a great event. Obviously, like we heard earlier with Connecticut Todd over on Digging with Maddie, it's the seeded hunt isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea. Todd's going to be looking more for the natural finds, which is great.
Well, but that's 30 acres. That's 30 acres of natural land that they're planting it all on, though. That's in the vicinity of all the land we're digging on anyway. Exactly. So in reality,
even in the seeded hunt, you could make a natural find.
And I'm only looking for gold coins. I'm digging 50s. I might just walk past the 80s and 90s and I'm just going to keep swinging and looking for 50s.
Right, you're going to be the pull tab vacuum.
Yeah, well, I've never done a seeded hunt. I've never even wanted to do a seeded hunt. I'm in the same boat as Todd. It doesn't do it for me. That's me though. I'm sure there's tons of people who would, just love to, just pull all that stuff out of the ground. I'd love to just get a gold coin. So that's really.
Yeah, I mean, some people, they go just bananas for the seeded hunts, and I get it. It's a great way to build up the silver count or win some cool prizes if there's some tokens mixed in there or whatever. But, I've done the seeded hunts before. They're okay. They can be a lot of fun for people, but it just, for me, it just doesn't have the same meaning when I recover that find as I do if I'm out hunting and find it naturally. And like if I dig up a half dollar in a seeded hunt, it's like, oh yeah, hey, that's cool, but it just doesn't have the same meaning to me as if I'm out on a permission or a public area or something. And
they're not putting marks in the ground, so it's bobbers and seededs and caps, dimes and stuff.
Which I think is a cool idea on their part.
Yeah. And if
you're going to find seeded silver, at least you're finding seeded silver.
Yeah.
It's the old stuff.
But anything that's found in that will go into a catalog. When it's cataloged, found in a seeded hunt, it's not like it's going to count towards any dug item,
Right, like Todd said, in a seeded hunt, I can't even put that in my display.
Yeah, unless it's labeled found in seeded hunt. So, but exactly. All right, well we'll end this, and we're going to start talking way too much more about Pound the Ground and seeded hunt and stuff. So.
That's right.
You can do your wrap up. Thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure. It's always good times. And
absolutely.
We'll definitely do it again, before, between October and Thanksgiving or whatever. Sometime in October.
Yeah. All right, hang in there with me for a few minutes and we'll get out of here. For everyone else, don't forget and check our links in the description. Obviously, we had the links for Shooters and Prospectors, Brute Magnetics, DETECTEES.com for your Beyond Sight and Sound apparel, Dirt Pirates apparel, all that happy jazz. They do a great job. Extreme Scoops, TheRingFinders, River Sticks Outdoors, All Metal Militia, XP Team USA, the Cordova Detector Raffle, Ohio Metal Detecting New York City, well, Metal Detecting NYC, shout out to Merrill, and obviously, don't forget the great Christmas giveaway for kids ages 5 to 15. Definitely really moving ground there. I think we're up to, we should be announcing a third. Yeah, that's right. 3 now. Detectors very soon. So, until the next time, if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. You can follow us here on Spreaker, iHeart, iTunes, YouTube, and Facebook. But for Lou and myself, we're going to go. Have a wonderful evening, folks. Get out there and try to find something if you can and post up those photos. You know how we love to see them. We'll see you out in the field, hopefully. Take care, folks.